I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Margaret.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And today we're going to be talking about no contact on the stubborn ex. Margaret, how many times in any given week do you hear somebody say, my ex is too stubborn to reach out?
We'll give them a couple of suggestions or thoughts to share, and it will be, my ex is too stubborn.
Mm-hmm. I think just about everybody out there feels like,
Yep.
I have the ex that won't reach out. Everybody else has the ex that will, but mine won't.
Mm-hmm.
I know mine won't, right? And so
I know him or her, and I know how stubborn they are.
That they won't be the one to contact you, and you are absolutely convinced of it. And you know, a lot of that is based on how they're acting in the present moment, which is extremely stubborn. Independent or stubborn, and that they aren't going to do what you would want them to do, essentially. And so you're really scared that they are going to stick with their decision and not reach out to you. But as we've said time and time again, feelings do change, okay? But it's normal to feel that if you stop reaching out to your ex, that they will not reach out or look for any reason to contact you, and maybe you're just wasting your time in no contact, and that nothing will ever come out of this, or you know, you're just scared of that. I mean, that's totally normal.
That's exactly right. My ex is too stubborn to reach out. Well, the stakes are pretty high here. It's a relationship, and those can be lifelong things.
Yeah, and so we're going to talk about this today because it's helpful to have a better understanding of it.
Yeah, so I want to start out with just asking you what makes you think that they're stubborn. So it could be some past arguments that you had with them where they really stood their ground and didn't waver. It could be that maybe in arguments in the past they've given you the cold shoulder and they've been very adamant about stonewalling you. So this gives you the idea of after a breakup, there's no way that they're going to contact me, since in the past, this is how they acted after arguments. So that's understandable. Also, they might have more of an avoidant attachment style. So they might have been dismissive throughout the entire relationship, and you think, okay, now that we're broken up, there's even less reason to contact me. So we understand that these are all things that might make you think that your ex is too stubborn to reach out. Then again, as Margaret said, we're talking about attachment and connection here. This is not just an argument that you might have had. This is something much deeper.
Absolutely, because I don't think there's anything more powerful than love and attachment.
No,
and
even stubbornness.
Yeah. Stubbornness does not outrank love, right?
No, it doesn't.
So you gotta look at it that way. Is like, yes, maybe you do have a stubborn ex, and your ex is very independent or avoidant, but does that mean that it will be overwhelming loving somebody and missing out on somebody that they might spend their life with or have built a life with? No, not necessarily. Of course, we're not going to say that every ex is going to reach out. That's simply not true, okay? Some of you will not hear from your ex, and unfortunately, we can't do anything about that. But we really believe that the best chance of turning it around is allowing them that time and space and sitting with that experience and processing it to come to you. Okay? Each one of your exes is going to be different. Obviously, in the video, we're talking about a blanket idea to have a better understanding. So some of you will have exes that are more stubborn than others, and there's a different degree there. And so you just have to understand that maybe your ex takes longer than other people's to reach out or to process or to deal with it, because every situation is so unique and every relationship is so different. in intensity and seriousness and all that stuff.
Right. And what they can do is they can postpone that grief. They can postpone reaching out to you. And yes, exes do grieve, even if they were the one to break up with you. So they might be able to suppress those feelings for a little while, but grief does not just magically disappear. And the concept of stubbornness has an underlying message of protecting the ego and protecting the self. So for them to reach out for a viable relationship to happen after a breakup, their desire to be with you has to supersede that ego. Kind of like what you were saying about the love superseding the stubbornness.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about that, Margaret?
Just exactly the same. That stubborn means that they're not going to be influenced by anyone else's opinion. And in one way, that can be a character strength. But when it comes to an ex coming back, I think most people feel like they're stubborn. In other words, I'm not giving in to her or him, no matter what. I might ruin my whole life doing it because he or she is the love of my life, but I'm just going to sit here and be stubborn. Now, people may do that, but if they take any time to think about it, it doesn't make any sense.
Margaret, do you have any thoughts on what makes somebody stubborn?
There's like a tinge of self-preservation in there for me.
Yeah. Well, and I've never heard the word used as much as we have seen it used here around exes. They're stubborn. In other words, even if it makes sense to do a certain thing and it would be to their benefit, they will be too fixed in their position and too adamant to give in even an inch and be influenced by somebody else.
Yeah.
And it probably is used for avoidantly attached folks a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Although certainly any of us can be stubborn. But it can also be, if you grew up in a difficult family or people who wanted to control you, it can also develop as a healthy defense. You know, you may tell me I want to work in the noodle factory, but I'm going to be stubborn and tell you I'm not working in the noodle factory, you know?
And now that we're talking about it out loud, I'm also thinking that perhaps those people have also never seen their parents apologize.
Right. Right. I think that's a huge piece. Good. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, stubborn. It's hard to come back and say to somebody, you were right, I was wrong. But it's an extremely handy adult skill to have. You know, it comes up every place in life. And once you've apologized to somebody, sometimes strategically, things are going to be better.
Yeah. Ultimately, you have to think about, you want somebody who wants to talk to you.
Yep.
Okay? I know, and a big part of you is like, no, I just want to talk to them. But if you're really thinking about what's healthy for you and just beyond getting them back, you need to really be with somebody who is willing to communicate with you, wants to communicate with you, misses you, has a desire to reconnect, and, you know, explore where that goes. They may not be ready to get back into another relationship with you, but if you are understanding of their needs, you're not going to try and force or manipulate. You know, when I hear other coaches say, make your ex do something, it makes me want to throw the computer against the wall. It makes me nuts, right? You can't.
It's a partnership, not a dictatorship.
Yeah. So if you see people trying to convince you to make your ex do something, you better not listen to what they're saying because it's only going to blow up in your face.
But if you really believe that your partner is that stubborn, you might want to think it over again. You don't want a lifetime commitment to somebody who's not going to listen to any outside sources of information or advice or decision making.
Or being so quick to walk away from something that was meaningful.
Yeah,
Yes.
Exactly. And also, if they're so stubborn, you have to consider the alternatives. Reaching out to them. Even if you were to reach out, would they respond if they're so stubborn? You don't want to end up with this one-sided relationship where you're always reaching out and they're still stubborn in their ways. That's not fair to you. Yeah.
Can I just say, chances are, you've probably reached out to them multiple times already and didn't get anywhere with it.
And what you really are risking here is just aggravating them more. And you're just pushing them when they're not ready. When a stubborn person is ready, then they will reach out to you. Then they will, you know, let that barrier down, but it's not until they are ready. You don't decide that they're ready. They decide that they're ready.
And that's a big problem, is the anxiety makes us want them to be ready at our speed.
Yeah.
But we've seen those stubborn people often reach out, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. But they have to think about things and they have to make a decision for themselves.
I'd prefer stubborn to wishy-washy. You know, the people who do the last thing that the last person they saw told them to do, or the people who kind of blindly do things, I would prefer stubborn to that.
And I imagine also when a person who is stubborn does reach out, it would probably be more like an indirect direct than it would be outright saying, you know, I'm rethinking this or reconsidering this. So just be aware of that.
That's a good point because, you know, believe it or not, when it's been some time that you've stopped reaching out to your ex, they start to worry about reaching out to you. Are you going to reject them? Are you going to blow them off the way they blew you off initially? And so they're going to be scared. And if they've had enough time and they miss you enough and they've really thought about things enough and start to realize the value you brought into their life, they're going to find the motivation to do it. And likely it will be something like, I miss the cat, which is always ridiculous. It feels ridiculous, right? But, you know, some people will say, don't respond to your ex if they say something that's not meaningful. But I disagree with that.
I do too.
Because they're making a bid. They're making a bid to connect with you. And that's an attempt that it could be that they're trying to repair things. Not necessarily, but the fact that they're making a bid is to connect with you. And I would say that ignoring that connection, they might not reach out again when they've been ignored.
The concept of bid is widely used in couples therapy. They talk about people reaching out to each other as if it were a bid.
Yeah.
You know? You might still have the key to my back door.
Yeah, exactly. Some excuse when it's not really about the key to the back door. Or the lost notebook, or the backpack with the old sneakers in it, or whatever thing it is that we see on a weekly basis, right? Some excuse on a regular basis. But that's why we say don't ignore somebody, because there's a chance that if they do that bid and they do risk reaching out, and you ignore them, they might not reach out again, and then you might regret it.
Right. And on the opposite end of that, you also don't want to get too excited when you hear from them.
No.
Or try to rub it in their face, like, see, you did miss me, or see, you did want to get back together.
Oh, God, no, good point.
That's just
good
using...
point. See, I told you so.
Yeah, that's just using their vulnerability with you as ammunition to hurt them.
I should have stayed stubborn.
Exactly, and that's probably one of the reasons why they're stubborn in the first place, is that while they were in a vulnerable state, that they were either taken advantage of or shamed in some way, hurt in that vulnerable state.
Right.
So you don't want to reenact that.
Good point.
You want to be very gentle in the way that you approach them when they do reach out, even if it's an indirect direct.
Yeah. Now, sometimes you will have exes that breadcrumb and just keep coming back and wasting your time. That's a different story than if you haven't heard from your ex in 4 months and all of a sudden they say, what was the name of the restaurant your brother used to work at? Or some crazy excuse that leaves you scratching your head.
Applebee's.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, Applebee's. Or even 8 months later.
Yeah.
People will say, it's been 8 weeks. I know I'm not going to hear from them again. No, you don't know that yet.
Yeah. But it's what you do in that time to better yourself that really improves the chances that you can turn things around, and really working through your own personal issues and learning the skills to be a better partner that, you know, when they come back and they take another look, they're a lot more impressed and they're thinking, I really don't want to miss out on this new person. I did an email coaching, I think just a couple days ago, where the ex-girlfriend was now seeing him again, and she's like, now I'm confused because this new guy that you are, I'm afraid that I'm going to miss out on this guy to another woman. Right? And now she's afraid of losing him.
Yeah, wow.
And so it was... And that's exactly what we're talking about, is now she's come back, he's made changes, and all of a sudden she's like, oh my gosh, now I'm really rethinking this. I thought maybe I was coming back just to make sure I was going to move on, but now I'm doubting that. And they're hooking up.
Well, how honest of her.
Yeah.
Yeah, how honest of her.
Yeah.
And any change, you know, remember, even if it's a good change, is unsettling. Yeah, to a partner or anybody around you.
So, Margaret, Does no contact work on a stubborn ex?
Absolutely, it does. And you can be as stubborn as they are and say that to yourself if it's helpful. I'll out-stubborn you, buddy.
And I agree. And really, the alternative of chasing after somebody, I don't think is going to work anyway.
Never,
Yeah.
never.
So hopefully, this gives you some insight into why we tell you not to reach out to an ex, even if you feel like they're stubborn and they won't reach out to you. Right?
Right.
Exactly.
Let us know in the comment section. We'd like to hear your opinions on this one. Of course, if you want to get our help personally, just go to my website, askcraig.net. Sign up for the coaching option that works best for you. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Margaret is available for Skype coaching.
If you think I can be helpful, please sign up.
She won't be stubborn with you on the call.
Yeah, I was just going to say, but I'm going to practice being stubborn.
And Coach Victoria will continue to train with us.
I'll be stubbornly training here.
But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Margaret.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon. To get my help personally, go to AskCraig.net and click on Schedule Coaching and choose the option that works best for you. I do email coaching or Skype. To schedule a coaching with Margaret, click on Margaret on the top of the page and order a Skype with her. For the Knowledge Creative Healing course, click on the link at the top of the page and click Get Started Now.